I know I'm 12. I can't help myself. The next day rushes by. The next 2 days rush by in a blur. To get all together, leaving a collective mess of work suddenly piling up, and a new unexpected acquaintance or friend. Depending on how you look at it, really. Either way, I'm stuck developing these photos at 3 in the morning to reach a deadline set by an overeager art director. Don't get me wrong, Julius is good, has a vision, and knows what he wants. Damn if he can be too enthusiastic sometimes.
Doesn't matter when you couldn't sleep anyway.
There's nothing new in it. After years of working as a freelance photographer, it's simply something I've grown used to. Getting to know people, build a client's base, do good work, cash in some late hours if need, rinse and repeat. It certainly takes a while to get used to get some footing on the field, but it's the kind of thing that pays off in the long run as long as you keep. Given enough time, you might end up with a big name on your client list. Names like the Wrights. I never did pay much attention to them, but it's virtually impossible to not hear about them in the local news channel or a paper had something to say on their name. A party here, an acquisition there. Sometimes it's a new business venture. Other times it's the everyday gossip that typically follows the popular people like them. Not in a million years did I ever imagine I would end up working for such a high-profile couple. And between that and the fuss that comes with it, it leaves no time to ponder over what happened to Isabella, or why Ash is so adamant we keep away from the
They do seem like the good folk, though, despite the whole fame thing.
Oh, she seems like the good folk. He seems like a dick. Sure, there are rumors running around years ago about him being involved in some business scandal. But just like every gossip blown out of proportion by media, nothing came of it, and eventually it simply died down. Much is definitely left to be said for the husband, but I doubt a woman like Miss Wright would pick him if he doesn't have any good points at all. Miss Wright, Hannah herself, though. She ain't particularly bad in the ways the press makes her out to be. Tabloids have it all wrong, that's for sure. For someone born with a silver spoon in her mouth, well, she ain't exactly what I was expecting. Among other things, this newfound friendship is what I at least expected from her. But here we are. Although with a life as public as the Wrights, there's no wonder it's the woman who often gets the crappy end of the stick. I can't help but feel sorry for her. She's a real nice person when given a chance. Heck, she might even have ended up with friends like Rebecca and Isabella too, if they weren't living worlds apart. Probably. The beep quickly pulls me back to my thoughts before my thoughts travel any further. In one practice motion, I carefully place the wet print I'm holding on the drying rack, amble over to my makeshift dock room to get the last photos from the water bath. Inside, the converted broom closet, the film processor lets out another soft click before goes into standby mode. At its mouth, a lone photograph sits on the tray, barely visible in the lack of light. The last one tonight for the set Miss Wright requested. I don't usually make it a habit, giving away stuff. It's bad for business, no matter how well-intentioned and generous you are. This exception, however, she did treat me well, and is a pleasant companion, although throughout the photo shoot. Even if she didn't ask, I would have probably given her a few prints just for them. Miss Wright ain't a bad subject matter to begin with. And maybe this is just me. For someone who has everything in the palm of her hands, all the money in the world, a loving husband, and a plenty big mansion to call home, she's lonely. She doesn't just appear like it. It shows in the tone of her voice, how she moves, and most certainly in her smile. Always hidden behind the glamour for the world to never see. Sometimes people like her, small things like these help. A little reminder that the world can be kind too. Water drips from the paper as I blindly pick it up and gently lay it on another tray, holding a decent amount of photo flow. A few seconds under the solution is all it needs to be ready for drying. No good rushing this last one, even if my body is already for a decent snooze. My hands fumble with the light switch, moving towards it with a familiarity while I fish for a squeegee among the mess tools in the drawer in the other. The bulb flickers twice and glows before settling and casts a soft light on a tiny space. When I glance back down, squeegee in hand, ready to finish up the process to finally call it a night.
What on earth?
Oh shit! It pulled a ring! Her head is gone. And a Ju-on and every other Japanese ghost story movie. Blurred and distorted beyond recognition, rather. The air completely smudged over, feeling no trace of the same sweet smile, and the good woman carried all of the previous
Damn,
point.
that was too careless.
Common mistake makes it to make, of course, if one is negligent enough to pick up nearly the processed photo in the dark. And apparently I did. It has happened before, loads of time actually. But I still can't help but feel a small pang of frustration over the one mistake Doobie would likely make. With a sigh, I reached for the switch and intended to develop a new one from scratch.
It could pass off for one of those supernatural pictures they show on TV, though.
A memory clicks. One cursory thought in a sea of many, a short yet distinctive second from the day before. A glimpse is all I got, but it's enough to turn the image. It was a shadow. No, a woman. In her 20s, early 30s maybe. With how far her flesh was gone, how far gone her flesh was alone, it's impossible to tell at first glance. The skin itself was already taking a sickly color, rotten in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash, lesions on her body. Bunny hands gripped Miss Wright's neck like a noose, staining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes.
Zachary?
Not for me. For Miss Wright.
Zach, is something the matter?
Oh no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something that's all. Let's get back to the pictures.
What's up, Mama Cat? Welcome to the stream. And yeah, this is intense. It was equally as intense the first time I saw this.
Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
The memory alone is enough to make me retch. I brush it off then. Trick of the eye, I told myself, are a product of the heat. The weather has been unexpectedly warm recently. Wouldn't be too surprising for such a thing to happen. Well, blaming this on unusual fatigue and overworked brain, the weather, or an amateur error on my part, it's far more convenient. This makes a whole lot of sense that what the small voice inside my head whispered. The same tiny voice that only makes itself known when something's foul. Same one that lent a curious ear to Isabella's worries about the mansion. With each second I spend staring at this photo, the murmur in my head only grows louder against my... Someone has to... Who the fuck do I show them? I don't know if showing it to Ash makes a difference. I feel like I need to tell Hannah. I could tell Ash, but I feel like I need to tell Anna. Because, I mean, it directly affects her. I need to refresh my page. What do you guys think? Should I tell Ash or tell Hannah? So that's a vote for Hannah. So we're gonna go with Cassius. God, I've been reading way too much stuff. I cannot talk anymore. I do not have an explanation for what I saw yesterday. Yet, when you've been there, seen something enough to raise the hairs on the back of your neck, or finding more solid proof than a person's smudged face off a photo, at least, is the least of my concern. Ashton will undoubtedly give me flack for saying that, or even considering Isabella's words, those silly tales about the place. The guy's a skeptic through and through. It'll take more than my account for him to even give a single thought. However, more and more his opinion is Mrs. Wright. However, more than his opinion, it's Miss Wright I'm concerned about. Sure, she must have felt something if those shows on TV are to believe. A touch of coldness on her neck, or maybe a feeling of being watched. That's what often happens, ain't it? Outside, the sun is yet to rise. I've still got a few hours before dawn. Good enough time for me to mull over how to go about warning her. Plenty of time to check if I'll get the same results if I redo the process again. The film processor hums back to life at my touch. The light switch gives out a soft click, and the dark embraces the small closet again.
Somehow those urban legends don't sound so silly now.
In hindsight, this is a dumb idea. That is to say, rushing to a client I barely know's home first thing in the morning with news of a ghost lady potentially haunting their newly bought property. Oh, and there's a bunch of bizarre-looking pictures of Miss Hannah I've brought as proof, too. Yeah, dumbest idea in the history of my dumb ideas, all things considered. Traveling to the outskirts of Ansem Village at the crack of dawn only makes only my biker's company equally so. Personally, I don't think any of them would take what I'm going to say too well, no matter how nice or accommodating they are. Ashton himself would tell me the same thing. Odds are, he'll laugh at my face. Laugh at it in my face for good measure, if he doesn't freak out at me for first not listening to his warnings. Still, that's a whole separate can of worms, and I'll open it a different time, seeing as I'm already standing at the Wright's front porch, waiting for someone to answer the door. More than anything, Miss Wright needs to know that there's possibly nothing safe in this place. Warning from friends be
If
damned.
only someone would answer the door sooner. Come on.
I try to ignore the looming presence their large ornate doors give off as I press the doorbell for the fourth time. Its shrill ringing merely echoes, carried off by another warm passing breeze. The first time I came to this place, I found myself basking in the silence it offers. Now the atmosphere is just heavy, packed with trepidation and tension. Isabella's right; it does radiate a creepy sort of vibe. With the image from the day before constantly flashing in my mind, unease becomes harder to ignore with each second that drifts by. Not wanting to spend more time here than necessary, I ring the another second ticks by without any, or if it fails, I can always go to Ash. Not really the most sensible course of action either, but waiting here ain't gonna do me any good. For all I know, the Wrights could be out of town. As luck would have it, I'm just about to turn on my heels when a loud thump arises from the other side, followed by heavy footfalls, a string of very colorful expletives and parentage.
Didn't we have that bloody annoying doorbell replaced yesterday? That Irish guy just cost me a fortune and she can't even fix this nuisance. And where the hell is... Your Hans, if another po-faced prat is pressing that blighted bell, I swear I'll cut there.
The door swings open and a very irate Mr. Wright greets me. His particularly rumpled appearance is clear a testament of how early in the morning it is.
And who might you be? I don't recall asking the movers to show up this early.
I was prepared to fate Miss Wright, their butler, more so. Mr. Wright? I don't quite know what to make of him yet. I only caught sight of him yesterday as he was directing the movers. Although, from how exasperated he sounds, then it seems like more like yelling was done. He seems more like yelling was done than actual giving out directions. Needless to say, I'd like to believe that those instances ain't all there is to this guy. Miss Wright, at the end of the day, did marry. Standing before him like now, though, it's a different story altogether. Despite the difference in our respective heights, he manages to appear like he's the one that's looking down on me rather than... An apology instinctively forms on my mouth before anything else when he arches his eyebrow at my lack of response.
Well, that's not exactly why I'm here, Mr. Wright, yeah?
Right, of course, the one and only. And what can I do for you this fine morning? Have I seen you somewhere before? Bloody you peasants all look the same to me.
You are such an asshat.
Yeah, I'm actually...
It doesn't matter, I don't care. I've got someplace important to be at today. Just spit out what you want or be gone. I haven't got all day.
Eyes are sharp, expecting in the bright spite of his indifferent tone. Very impression of someone whose sharp wits have served him well through life. The kind you have to carefully choose your words around. It's concerning how simple conversation can easily seem like a ruthless form. I can see why Miss Wright would have wanted to steer clear of it, if only for a short while. Friend of Hannah probably isn't the best thing to say to him. Maybe I should. I'm gonna try it.
Sorry, sir. I was just...
This is
See,
not
I'm
wrong.
a friend of Hana, and...
A friend of Hana.
yes, sir.
His eyebrows shoot into his hairline with my answer. Though it swiftly disappears under his dismissive gesture, and he chuckles at it, and a chuckle at his heel. A small frown spreads across my face before I can stop myself. What I said was nothing remotely funny, yet here is hugging an arm closer to himself in a weak attempt to keep his shoulders.
Did I mispronounce something wrong, or...
No, not at all. You didn't. My wife, has never mentioned a friend like you.
You racist son of a
That's all.
bitch. You better not call my boy a Negro to his face, man.
I suppose it's a good thing she's venturing out of the usual. Vultures and savages, all of them hiding under sheep's clothing.
I don't really get it, sir, but it's not really surprising she wouldn't talk about me. We just met yesterday during the shoot.
As soon as the statement is out, the amicable air melts away almost palpably. His eyebrows crease in a frown, his posture stiffens. With how fast the atmosphere surrounding us changed in merely a span of a few spoken words, I'm not quite sure what I can and can't say anymore. It's like handling a ticking time bomb. This is why Ashton wanted us to stay away from it. So, if so, a part of me regrets not listening to
Shoot. Who are you again?
Zachary Steele, sir. I was here yesterday from the magazine feature about your home.
Ah, that Zachary, the photographer. I remember now. Just when you think she'd be careful meddling around media types these days, she makes friends with one.
It was really just small chit-chat, sir. The usual. To keep things entertaining. The shoot did take the whole afternoon to finish.
Oh, I'm sure she was pleasantly entertained. She wouldn't be making friends with media types if she wasn't. No matter. She's her own woman. She can do what she wants so long as she doesn't do anything to ruin herself.
Damn, dude.
I'm sure Miss Wright is aware of that, sir.
That she is. But we aren't here to talk about her, are we? What is this about today?
Actually, I am here to talk to her.
The city's a long way from here. On push bike, no less.
I Yeah, I was actually hoping to talk to her.
Of course, here for another headline, perhaps.
No.
Not exactly, sir. I'm off work. This is for something else.
That's what they always say. The next thing you know, your face is in the front page of every conceivable scandal sheet going all the way to the ass end of Plymouth.
Dude is such an asshat.
You media types have such an insatiable taste for gossip. It's almost amazing.
There won't be any of that in an interior design magazine, sir. I can assure you that one.
Oh, you never know. Well-trained hounds have an uncanny way of sniffing out things no matter where you keep them. I do admire the passion, though. It takes a lot of energy for someone to leave bed this early, let alone knock at someone else's door at this hour. That aside, unfortunately, you're going to have to come back some other day. You see, darling wife left not a moment ago. I have not an inkling where she went, or when she'll be back, so you're better off.
Love is at the movers.
She got you! He stopped speaking altogether, and a complacent expression has collapsed on itself. Slowly he turns just as his wife walks up to him and steps too lively for comfort, a smile too sweet to be honest. She very likely heard everything her husband and I have talked about.
Going off somewhere.
I've got the few things I want them to transfer already. Marianne made this splendid arrangement for the music room and... Love, are you listening?
I thought you already left, Buttercup.
I enjoy that she just ruined his whole... She musters a frown, a pout more like. A mischievous gleam in her eyes as she glances at me, says all I need to know. I would have laughed if her antics, at her antics if it wouldn't have offended the other man. But as it is, it's better to let his wife have her fun without any reaction from me. I'm treading on dangerous grounds with him already.
Well, I most certainly have not left yet. I wouldn't be standing here if I did, would I?
Of course you wouldn't be, darling. But don't you need to be somewhere else today? Something with Marianne? Shopping, girl, things?
Because you totally go shopping with your interior designer.
Oh, I'll be leaving in a few. Unless you want to join us.
Oh, no, thanks, darling. I'm afraid my liver is killing me today.
Bless you.
I thought as much. You needn't have to worry. I'll be gone in a few. It's just that I heard we have a visitor. What kind of person would I be if I didn't greet him before leaving?
A very gracious one, I'm sure.
Zachary, right? Zach? It's a pleasure to see you again.
Likewise, ma'am. I was actually looking for you.
Is that so? What for?
A huge display of unprofessionalism is what it's for.
Shush, darling. Let the man speak. I'm sure it isn't anything like that if he has to come all the way here, yes?
It's about yesterday. The photos you asked, I mean. The copies are ready, but...
My hand still I'm about to fish out the prints from my pocket. A short second passes, which strikes me as how I didn't think this through. How I'll go about telling her regards of the stranger, or revealing this to her in the presence of another person. Her husband gazing over us like a hawk doesn't provide any sort of comfort. And just like that, all the words I've been practicing to say on the way here inevitably fall to lips. Miss Wright must have noticed my hesitance because shortly she gives her husband's tender smile, gracing her face. Unlike the first, this one is meant to appeal.
Love, I think Hansi might need some of your input for the final guest list. Could you check on him, please?
Bollocks! Why in all Luxborn do I have to be there? Doing tedious jobs of what he's being paid for?
Because Hansi is a better man than you.
Because if we end up with people whose faces you do not want to show up in our housewarming party, we won't be hearing the end of it. Unless a heavy dose of liquor's involved. You know what the doctor said about that. Please do poor Hansi and your liver a favor, hmm?
He can handle that on his own, Buttercup. And my liver is doing just fine.
Your liver begs to differ.
I'm sure it is. But I don't know, love.
It's well preserved.
I think I caught a glimpse of the name Mitch Lakes, was it? I think it was Mitch Lakes on it when I checked with Hansi earlier. You should see for yourself. It was quite a list.
Who put that blighted twat in there?
And that's why I'm asking you to look over it before I do so tonight.
Very well.
But even with that promise, he doesn't appear ready to leave. Short of passing through their doors, he stops glancing back at me, all without bothering to hide his distrust in his
Luke, dear, I'll be fine. Go back to your butler. I'm not some pregnant wife you have to worry about.
Fine, fine. I have to go to that little ankle biter's career day later anyway. I don't see why I have to go there. Kylie's your goddaughter.
And yet, she has you around her little fingers, darling. That's basically the same thing.
If he ever has an answer to that, we don't get to hear it above the heavy thud of the door it makes. And Miss Wright's own weary exhaust after she sure her husband is out of earshot. She's nothing but apologetic when she fixes her gaze back to me. I can't help but return the same for her.
I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. My husband can be a bit
Of a twat.
trying when he really applied himself.
No, of a twat. He is a twat.
It's fine, Miss Wright. No harm done. It was my fault for showing up here unannounced.
You know, it may help her if she did. But now she's pretty bubbly on her own. She doesn't need help.
And this might be strange coming from me, but he does have the right to be wary. The press can be quite vicious when it wants to be.
Caught unexpectedly, they'll pick you apart. Not unsurprising. This is not surprising why he acted the way he did around. Actually, that's
Sweetie,
not why. That
if
is
Luke
not why.
treats every journalist who shows up here like that, I'm afraid we'll end up with a harassment lawsuit hanging over our heads sometime in the future.
You, sir, are a threat.
Vicious or not, some sort of finesse has to be exercised when dealing with them. I'm sorry. I hope that wasn't too offensive.
Not at all, Miss Wright. Besides, I don't think an interior design magazine would be interested in who harassed who this week. But even then, I don't think our readers would be too interested.
Oh, dearie. You've got a lot to learn. You really have no idea how a single tattle can ignite a spark in a crowd. Of course, at the end of the day, it's still the thought that counts. It's still a lovely anniversary gift for my husband.
When's you guys' anniversary anyway? Did you make it to your anniversary
No
before you're like,
matter.
we need to take a
Let's
break?
just go.
He doesn't wait for an answer and immediately wanders over to a car parked in the distance. Unsure, I find myself trailing after her. A chauffeur automatically opens the passenger side door and she gestures for me as I climb into the backseat. How the hell are you gonna get your bike back?
To where are we going exactly?
I need to get out of this stuffy house for a while. Moving in, planning the party. It's starting to get suffocating in there. Luke and Hansi can have their fun while I'm gone. I don't care. I'm getting out because I can. Another minute in there and I'll drown.
My bike.
There are, of course, a lot of things they should. Why is she asking a person she's only known for less than 2 days in the first place? How appropriate this is being another. But the rest of it crashes the moment she shoots me a worrying look.
Please? I can have someone send it back to your address later. And it's just a trip to the city for some furniture, nothing more, I assure you. Marianne will be with us, and maybe you can tell me why you're here on the way.
Guess it wouldn't hurt. I might have to leave early though.
Oh, she totally did.
Excellent then. Hop in. That's what they often say, yes?
This can't be a good idea, but I really don't have any other choice, do I? especially with the way her eyes light up when I greet. In my pocket, the very picture of her remains. The voiceless shadow hanging threateningly between us, unknown to her. A little bit more. Let's try to get to the end of this, and then I really am. I'm hungry, and there's icons. If someone told me I'd be spending my entire morning being dragged around half of downtown Luxborn looking for furniture, I probably would have simply smiled at them. Then perhaps even given them the good friendly pat on the shoulder and wished them a nice day. Not that I find that I find anything wrong with this at all. On the contrary, it is most definitely a nice change of pace after a week getting bogged down by several freelance gigs and shutting myself inside my apartment whenever I can. Only the weather could be a whole lot nicer, the kind with less sun and more clouds perhaps. With the mid-morning sun slowly beating down on us as high noon approaches, I can see why Mr. Wright skipped out on this trip. The bright side is the whole thing seems to have put Miss Wright in a less somber mood. After the 5th store, her pace is considerably livelier and her gesture is less guarded than the one she displayed in the mansion earlier. The presence of another person might have helped as well. Although Miss McCullough seems less predisposed to small talk, preferring to keep to herself most of the time, let Miss Wright lead us wherever. She did acknowledge me with a small nod whenever I did. That didn't make standing outside the store together any less awkward while we were with our client featuring.
So, interior design, huh?
She cast me a sidelong glance before returning to her notes again, her pen scratching faintly against the paper. Quick successive strokes. Ah, there goes that. Did I say I'm not good at starting or keeping conversations going? She doesn't look back up again, and I take that as my cue to stop any trying to strike a dialogue, keeping myself occupied some other. Except what we have here is just Luxborn and busy streets, going about their day like cars moving in and out of sight, heading who knows where. Nothing remarkable. The ease with which a person can fade into the background here is reflective of the kind of city Luxborn will always be. But the humdrum's one thing I've learned to live with. Needless to say, it doesn't usually stay that way. There are times when it would become lively and make itself known and assert itself back into the world. However, those moments are few and far between. Then again, with what graces the news channels lately, I'm starting to think that it's going to happen sooner. I can't say I'm looking forward to what that will bring.
Luxury living, is it?
Her voice effectively cuts through my thoughts just as I counted the 13 passers-by wearing a hat today. Beside me, I can hear a faint rustling of papers and the clicking of her pen as she stashes them back in her bag.
Excuse me, what?
The magazine you're working for. It's Luxury Living, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. You've been featured by them before, I take it?
A few years back, yes. For just some issues. My designs still appear from time to time, though not as frequent as before. Gotta have room for new talents, right?
It may not show in her face, but the pride is evident.
Good folks, the people running the publication. Tell me, is DK still on the editorial team?
I wouldn't know. I've only started taking jobs from them this year. Freelancer, you know.
Good man, that guy. Anyone in our field should meet him. He had a lot of things to say about art, all of them relevant. Learned a lot from him, actually, even if we both came from two different fields.
This is the most I've heard this woman speak, other than saying, I have a job here.
I hope he's in a good place. I haven't talked to him in a while. Anyway, your portfolio must have been good if they gave you the job. They don't easily assign big features to freelancers like this.
I wouldn't say I am, but experience, you know? The more you practice it, the more you learn the tricks of the trade. That kind of stuff.
She does have a black cat, and she was very angry that I did not check it for balls to see if it was a girl or a boy.
I know what you mean. Still, you've got to keep up with the competition. Each year, a new talent emerges, and, well, you never know. Clients can be a bit fickle-minded with their choices. Believe me. Speaking of, do you think you'd be up for a new client after this?
Hell yeah.
I think so. Depends on how big the project is.
She reaches into her bag again. This time she pulls out her business card, which she hands over to me.
When you're free, send your portfolio to Chris. He's my assistant. He's been looking for a decent photographer to help with updating the studio's portfolio. Nothing urgent, but the sooner the better.
Not sure if I'll have the time to squeeze this in. But, alright, I'll give it a go once.
Marianne, could you look this over for me?
At that very moment, Miss Wright emerges from the store. When I look back to Miss McCullough, the mask of professionalism has returned to her. Or at least that's what it's trying to be. There's a different light in her eyes as she faces her, a flicker of familiarity and recognition. I'd say it's fondness, but that would be too presumptuous. Whatever it doesn't last long as it's briskly swept under the firm tone of her voice. The firm tone her voice assumes.
Definitely. Is there a problem?
They said they don't have the colors you suggested. Do you think we can change it around for a bit? It might take a while if we insist what we want, and you know I'd rather not worry about this later.
I think it'd be better if I handle this one myself.
Oh, she's adjusting the glove.
Excuse me.
She's about to go rearrange somebody's face. Who the hell do you think you are telling me that I can't get this couch in this color? She walks into the shop without another word, leaving the two of us standing outside. As soon as she's out of earshot, however, Miss Wright lets out a giggle and swipes the business card cleanly off my hand. She smiles bemusedly, bemused a little thing spreading across her face, and waves the card in front of me. I wish she'd do that more often, the smiling thing. It suits her more than the other she frequently shows the media.
I look away, and the next thing I know, you're picking up women.
Why are you
On
jealous?
the streets,
Married
while the
woman.
sun is high, no less. I'm not sure if I should be appalled or amazed. Whatever happened to the Zach I met a day ago? About as tall as you. Photographer. Quite the gentleman. To tell you the truth, I'm a bit disappointed he's gone.
Wait, what?
It ain't like that, Miss Wright.
Why you gotta tease my boy like this, man? You know he can't handle it. He can't handle it!
And I'm sure Miss McCullough is not the kind of woman to let herself be picked up by strangers, let alone people she barely knows.
Oh, shush. Let me have my fun. And didn't I say you can call me Hannah? This right after you introduced yourself as my friend in front of my husband.
Oh, she was listening.
I do believe this isn't how friends address each other. Too formal, don't you think?
She gives the card back to me, nevertheless, and with her mood fades once more into a pensive one. An odd look settles on her face, turning a bit wistful, she looks back towards the shop display window. There's nothing remotely interesting in there for me when I follow her line of sight, though. A few trinkets here and there, a fur rug, a sofa, wooden side table and a lamp, all tastefully picked and arranged to resemble the typical antique living room. On the second thought, it does look comfortable. But why they added a crib beside it baffles me. Unless, of course, people they are hoping to market to already have children, or perhaps about to have one, then maybe it is fitting. Peculiar choice of decorations aside, it does make for a nice icebreaker. And if it's not on the same level of weird and completely out of the blue, still, it's leagues better than the awkward silence, which is definitely too out of character for a person like Miss Hannah's. I think that one looks.
I think that one looks cute.
Hannah balks to my surprise, shuffling 2 steps away from the window and glares at it with such vehemence as if it did something remotely scandalous. It's sight funny when taken out of context. But I'd probably be laughing if I really understand what warranted such a reaction to her.
I wasn't looking at the crib.
Oh, you totally were looking at the crib, lady.
I wasn't really talking about the crib, Hana.
Very good then.
Oh, she totally without the crib.
But it wasn't the crib, all right.
Oh, it totally was the crib, lady.
Alright, I get you. But that's not it. Honest. I was just saying the stuff that was on display there looks nice. Or at least as nice as it can be compared to the ones we visited earlier. But I'm sure your interior designer has something different in mind for your mansion, so don't mind me.
I was hoping that would be enough to cut the topic short. Instead, she sighs and leans on the wall closest, running her hands through a lock of her hair. There is a far-flung look in her eyes, even as she fixes it on the concrete curb.
You need to stop looking at people like that, sweetie.
I'm afraid I don't quite catch your drift, ma'am.
I suppose you wouldn't be aware of it. Do you know you always carry this kind of phase? Like you're always staring at the world with this honest look. Like all there is to see is all the good in it.
Frankly, I don't see anything wrong if it's like that. I mean, there always has to be something in it. You know, a sprinkle of kindness here and there. Otherwise, we'd all be miserable.
For you, maybe. Some people have to fight through it just to see that. And kindness isn't always a great thing to have around. Sometimes too much of it can hurt.
Oh, she totally likes you, totally likes you, buddy. It makes you wonder where this is coming from. How bad things have really gone for her to have this view. I do understand her sentiment, I really do. Still, when it's the last thing you can do, you can cling to when things have gone irreversibly bad, sometimes you just simply don't get to make a choice.
Besides, the point is, it's impossible to lie when a person is looking at you like that. Or I could, but I'd feel like a horrible person afterwards. Did you hear that, Mr. Zack? You just made me feel like a horrible person.
Oh, so you're looking at the crib.
I sort of wish I had one like it. Just so people would stop lying to my face.
Ooh, damn.
Or you can start by being honest with yourself. It shouldn't be quite hard. Friends don't lie to each other, don't they?
I guess so.
So what was the lie?
Draws in a breath and is a smooth, hard hand. Why did I see hard? Lays a smooth hand on her stomach and.
That it was really the crib I was looking at earlier, silly. You're right, Uncle Zack. It's cute, but the pattern's not to my taste. I'm pretty sure Marianne could do something about that, though. At the moment, what I should really be worried about is if I'm ever going to be a good mother to this child.
She totally is pregnant! She finally admits it!
Mad! I can't even tell the father he's going to be one in a few months' time. Probably doesn't even want anything to do with this whole pregnancy thing. What am I going to do?
Oh, that's even more fucked up considering her husband
right
knocked up her
now,
best friend.
I'm absolutely at a loss.
I love this. This is totally like a fucking, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? I was trying to see who followed me. Thank you, whoever just followed me. It's not showing me. I don't know why it doesn't show me sometimes.
Oh.
A beat.
Oh!
The realization strikes me like a ton of bricks slowly bearing down on me. The more than astonishment must have shown in my face because Hannah lets out a chuckle and then slump of her shoulder disappears altogether underneath her.
Don't look so surprised, dearie. Tied the knot 7 years ago, remember? Don't you think it's bound to happen?
I mean, he wasn't trying. He really not fucking tried. She brandishes her hand in front of me, and the unassuming silver band on her finger glinting against the late morning sun for a second. She eyes it lovingly, almost tenderly, despite the traces of sadness in her. For all I know, there is an entire story there. I'd ask, but that would be too inappropriate for friends. It's not my place to meddle to begin with.
Or at least that's what they've been saying early on. My whole social circle would be saying it's a long time coming.
But the kid is something you want, right? Because if it ain't, then that's a whole other problem.
Of course. I wouldn't deny I've been hoping to have him or her for a long time now. But then, now that we're here, all of a sudden, there are a whole lot of other things to be worried about. Business, a new home, public image, my own husband, and I don't know. I didn't really have anyone for a role model. I practically grew up with nursemaids pampering me every step of the way. What if it happens to this baby as well?
That's
I
easy
can
fix.
already see how this will end.
Huh. I guess it's not just my sister.
What?
You and my sister. I mean, you're both having jitters or something like that.
Wait, your sister's having a kid too, Zach?
That's what it's called, right? First baby jitters? Mind you, she was really convinced she'd do everything wrong then. He even called me in the middle of the night. Asked to switch places the day she found out she's carrying a new member of the family. Never mind how utterly impossible her request is.
I'm quite sure I haven't done anything of that sort yet.
Yet.
Oh, you don't know that? My brother-in-law has been telling me things 5 weeks into my sister's pregnancy. Since she's one cranky pregnant lady. Man, good thing I found a place for myself years before that bundle of joy arrived, huh?
It can't be that awful.
Who knows? I think we'd better leave it for Mr. Right to decide, yeah?
Mr. Right is Mr. Wrong, though, Mr. Zach.
Provided he comes around. He just sounds so repulsed every time the idea is brought up.
Then maybe you should say it to his face. No mincing of words or beating around the bushes.
And if he says no?
You haven't even told him yet. Besides, that's his kid. Don't people usually say fatherhood changes men? I wouldn't call myself a living testament, of course, but there ought to be something that will hit him in that idea alone.
A wrecking ball would be nice.
Laughter escapes me before I can stop it, and for a moment, I thought I've done something wrong and she doesn't join in. Still, her husband, no matter what jest or complaints she hurls about him behind his eyes or the presence of people. But when she does chuckle, her chuckle, small, hesitant sound at first. I find my unease slipping
Well,
away.
whatever it is, my point is, you've got no idea what will happen. In the same way, you don't know if you'll be a good mom. Trust me, my sister's been there. It's perfectly normal. If, my opinion matters, though.
A long second of indecision goes. I can feel her eyes filled with nothing but curiosity, pouring into me while she waits for the rest. Still, it's just a simple sentiment, but one thing I think she needs to hear for all the doubt she unwittingly places on herself. I'm just not sure if it should be coming from. I'll be damned.
I think you'll be a great mother, Hana.
If she has an answer to that, I don't hear it, nor does she get to say it. As soon as it's out my mouth, the bell hanging over the antique store chimes, and out comes Miss McCullough. For some reason, I have never been so relieved our top got interrupted.
Everything's been taken care of for tomorrow, Mrs. Wright. We'll have everything you requested delivered early. I've left them instructions, but I may have to visit again right before your housewarming party to check for a few things. I hope that's acceptable to you.
More than Marianne. This is a little early to say, but you did marvelous work with the mansion. I can't wait to see all of it come together tomorrow.
I'm only doing my job, ma'am. Needless to say, it's always a pleasure to hear a client is satisfied with my work.
Nonsense! You have every reason to be proud. I know you've already established your name here, but I'll still make sure word gets out, of course.
Where is my water? I need it. So much reading.
I think I've got a few friends who might be interested in decorating their homes. I'll see if I can introduce you to them tomorrow.
I really don't want to impose, Mrs. Wright. There's still a lot to be done, and I'd rather be keeping an eye on it myself.
She's hiding something. I don't know what yet, but I know she's hiding something. Her reaction to her husband, she's hiding something.
You know well enough I'll still do it. You too, Monsieur Le Photographe. You better be the one taking the pictures for the event tomorrow, or I'll be very upset.
I blink at her, confused. Last I checked, I have nothing scheduled on my plate. A couple of fleeting thoughts did cross my mind when working on personal projects, but with the expected expression on Hannah's face alone. I've wondered before how they got Isabella to sell them in the mansion and with all the paperwork and loops that it has to go through. Well, the how is already standing in front of me. This one giant ball of persuasion in human form. If I have any doubts about how she got around in life, all of them have been dispelled like this instant. Hannah hasn't said anything yet, but I already know what my answer will be.
What event?
Our housewarming party, dearie. I've already sent invites through your publisher. They should have informed you of it by now.
I may have probably missed it. I haven't gotten the chance to check my mailbox yet. Deadlines, real life happenings, they can be pretty hectic. I'll try later, but they might have already assigned it to a different photographer if they haven't received my reply yet.
That's not a problem. Nothing a little call from me can't fix.
This woman is
I'll
so
have
full
them
of
know
herself. I
I'm
love her.
specifically requesting for your presence. It shouldn't be too hard. Just promise me you'll show up. I expect to see you both there. No excuses.
Good company, good music, good food. Of course I'll be there.
Lovely. I hope we have that settled then.
You never showed her the pictures, dude.
I'd love to stay and chat, but unfortunately I have an appointment scheduled with the doctors after this. You two will have to excuse me.
Are you feeling fine, ma'am?
It's nothing big.
Oh no, it's pretty big. There is a short while in which her hand faintly touches her stomach when she says this. Her smile, as she does so, is a tender thing in itself. She might never let it cross her mind, but motherhood would suit her. The kid is already loved even when he or she has yet to even sense the world. Candid moments like this, I wish I brought a camera.
Sorry we had to cut this short. I'd love to have lunch with you two, but, well, you two know how it goes.
It's quite fine, Mrs. Wright. I need to get going as well.
Is it somewhere far from here? I can have my driver drop you off on the way.
No, please. There's no need for that, Mrs. Wright. It's just within the city.
This is fishy.
I see. What about you, Zach? We did leave your push bike at the mansion.
We did leave.
Don't worry, I'll have someone bring it to your home later.
Nah, I live within the city too. A few blocks from here, in fact. I only visited earlier because...
Photos. Damn, I completely forgotten about them. My hand grazes the side of my pocket where I've kept them since... Sure enough, they're still there, waiting for the whole world to see them.
Because? Zach, sweetie, you're zoning out.
Miss Hannah, earlier, at the mansion.
If she was by herself, I'd show him to her. I don't think I should show him to her with. You should know, I really should tell her. Yet.
Zachary, what is it?
I mean, she just told me she's having a baby. I mean, this is kind of not the thing you tell a pregnant woman either. But maybe I should have told her. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I fucked up. I don't think I fucked up. When I look at her, all I see is a woman who only wants the best for the family she's trying to build. I see those loving smiles on her face. Face when she puts her hand on her belly, and the fond tone in her voice every time she thinks about what will be in months' time. That she bought the mansion for the same reason. To fill as many of its rooms with smiles and laughter of their children, to create memories from it like the only ones she had as a child. I can't bring myself to shatter that. What other proof do I have except for what might be taken as a couple badly developed photos? No matter where you look at it, this is ridiculous. Maybe I am seeing things. I need to visit my doctor again as soon as possible.
About the photos you requested.
Oh, are they done?
No, actually, they're not done yet. I had to finish the ones for the magazine first. I really don't want to rush it.
Please don't tell me you came all the way to Anslim just to tell me that.
No, he didn't, but that is a clear lie. He's not a big
made you a promise.
Oh, you poor thing. I won't hold it against you if you can't give it to me soon. I'm not rushing you, dear. Good art takes time, yes. I'm more concerned about the quality than how fast it gets delivered. With it, I'm sure I'll get my money's worth.
You really don't have to pay for it, Hana.
Shush you. Don't sell yourself short. You keep doing that and other people will follow. I'll have my secretary send the first half to your account tonight. No buts.
Can I make a friend like her? I am into fun. I would also like to get fun from you, lady. Behind her, Miss McCullough merely nods, mouthing to me to just take it as it is. She'd know, of course, being the other person to work for the rights. Even if I decline, I'm certain Hanlon won't give me a choice. She'll do it.
I guess I'll just have to make sure I'll take good photos tomorrow at your party, yeah?
Fair enough. I'd love to discuss it with you, but I'll only get in the way. And I really need to leave now.
Have a good day, then.
You too, sweetie.
She smiles and waves, and then she's gone, leaving me wonder if I just wait for my... But the weight of the photo in my pocket is impossible to ignore. Maybe I should have done the foolish thing instead. Miss McCullough departs shortly after Miss Wright's taken her leave, muttering something about getting a quick lunch before fetching a Barathil from Chris. That's her cat. I butchered the cat's name, but that's her cat. I don't know who or what a bee is, but it must be important for her to be this kind of hurry. Well, she doesn't seem to be fond of small, so nothing we can do. Small talk, something we can both agree on. Lunch sounds good, or a walk around the city maybe. With the sun as high as it is, nah. After how things with Miss Hannah went, I simply can't muster an appetite for anything at the moment. I don't want to do anything with it now. I still have this impression it will rear its ugly head again. By then, things might be too late to fix. What other choice do I have? Ash, Rebecca? In all likelihood, they'll just give me a pat on the back and a Z-Man go get some sleep. You're at it again from Ash. I talked to Isabella, but I haven't seen her around since she showed up in my apartment 2 days ago. Weird. There is one person, though.
Damn, I should have thought of that first.
That right there is a good place for me to stop. I am starving, and the game I'm about to play will be starting soon in like about 30 minutes. So I'm gonna step away from the computer. So I'm gonna shut the stream down for about 30 minutes. I'll be back. I'm gonna raid somebody real quick. But while I am preparing to do that, I'm gonna go ahead and get my spiel out the way. If it's your first time on the stream and you like what you're seeing, please remember that follow button. I stream frequently. I've been streaming a lot more than I've been intending to, but you know, it is what it is. I like streaming and I enjoy streaming, and I hope you guys have been enjoying the story, because I'm enjoying the hell out of the story. Let's see, who's on that I can rate? Who do I want to subject you guys to? I may just let it go where it goes in that case. But anyway, if you're looking for me on social media, you can find me at Nekko the Odd, Nekko the Odd, one word, on Twitter. I am there frequently. I talk nonsense. I post random stuff. I talk boxing on the weekends. Whatever. I do respond to people if you tweet at me on Twitter too, if I know what the hell you're talking about, or I just feel like being random. So yeah, I am active, very active on Twitter. And if you're watching this on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe. And until next time, my friends, remember to save often. You will live longer. I'm gonna go find something to eat. Peace.